This is your host, Danny, and this is Do You Know from English Plus Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about Copernicus. Who was Copernicus? You might have heard the name before, but you might not know about this man. This is what we're going to do in this episode. But before we do that, let me remind you that you can have access to all our premium episodes if you become a patron of English Plus on Patreon, or you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts. But if you become a patron on Patreon, you will also have access to all issues of English Plus magazine. It's a weekly magazine. Issue 1 and 2 are out. If you want to have all the issues from now on, you can become a patron of English Plus on Patreon. But now, without further ado, let's talk about Copernicus. When Nicolaus Copernicus went to school, he learned that Earth was the center of the universe and that everything in the heavens revolved around Earth. The sun and all the planets circled around Earth. That's what he was told. The Earth-centered theory taught to Copernicus had been developed 1400 years before by an astronomer named Ptolemy who lived in Alexandria, Egypt. Copernicus looked into Ptolemy's system more carefully and came up with a different idea. He was sure that the sun is the center of our solar system and that Earth and other planets go around the sun. He was right, of course. Today, we think of Copernicus as the founder of modern astronomy. Copernicus was born on February the 19th, 1473 in Poland. His family was well-to-do. Copernicus went to the best schools. He studied medicine, law, and religion in Italy. He also became interested in astronomy. In 1503, he went back to Poland to work for his uncle. He also worked on his new theory about how Earth moves. Copernicus thought that Earth turns once a day and goes around the sun once a year. Copernicus decided that the way Earth turns makes it look like the sun, stars, and planets are going around the Earth. In 1530, he wrote a book called On the Revolutions of the Celestial Spheres. The book was published in 1543, just before Copernicus died. Most astronomers and church officials thought his ideas were too radical. Some others, however, secretly thought he was right. The Italian astronomer Galileo, German astronomer Johannes Kepler, the English physicist Sir Isaac Newton later did studies that supported the ideas of Copernicus. Not until the early 1700s, however, did most scientists agree that Copernicus was right. So that was who Copernicus was in a nutshell. I hope you learned something new you didn't know about before. And don't forget, you can always get more if you become a patron of English Plus on Patreon. And by doing that, you will be supporting us to go on. With that being said, this is your host, Danny, saying thank you very much for listening to another episode from English Plus Podcast. I will see you next time.